how would you say that you went about sort of like getting indoctrinated and sort of taking on this blue hair ideology?
I literally did that. I just shaved my head and dyed it blue. I'm just kidding. No, I did do that though. That was a part of the aesthetic as well. So I attended a lot of women's conferences, and especially in the entrepreneurial tech space, it is like going to these conferences, going to these women's groups is very popular. A lot of female CEOs do it. It's weird, okay? And all they do in these groups or in these conferences is talk about how men are trash, how the patriarchy is taking away all of our money, all of our funding, how we are so oppressed and that we, don't have the same rights as the white man, and how they take all of our everything. Like, they're taking the seat at the table. You need to fight for your seat at the table. You need to fight for your rights and all of this other stuff. And the more you listen to it and hear other women talk about it, you're like, yeah, like, we've been oppressed. You're right. And I'm like, this is afterwards, like, once you start looking at it, you're like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever believed in my life.
Right.
Retrospectively.
Because I'm sure you saw the Vice feminism debate where Pearl basically said, like, name a way in which you as a woman have been oppressed or you've been unable to, have certain opportunities. And even in the panel episode that I was on earlier, I said that I think that generally women have it easier in our society than men. And the main defense that gets brought up is like, okay, well, a woman has to be scared of a man, beating her up and raping her, walking home from work or whatever, which, to be fair, yes, 100%. That's the thing, though, is its physical size and not much else, right?
Yeah, I agree. I think that you have to understand, feminism was really never rooted in equality. If that's what they tell the public, but it is about supremacy. It is about overtaking men and basically deleting man as a sex. Just doing away with them.
They're like the white supremacists where they get together and they talk about what they really think.
Yes.
And then they will kind of communicate to the public and be like, no, we just want equality or whatever.
Yes.
But let's be real. Feminists or even like if you look at something like Black Lives Matter, I mean, they're advocacy groups. They come together to make the world better for their specific group that they represent. And they're absolutely not going to stop at equality or whatever, because that's so vague and impossible to identify. Their work it's like the NRA.
Yeah.
The NRA is not going to stop fighting for more access to guns for people. That's just what they do. And if gun rights become extremely expansive, they're going to fight for them to be even more expansive.
Oh, 100%. And the thing with feminism is that it's baked into our culture from the time we're like out of the womb. Right. So like if you look at TV shows, if you look at just things that we grew up with, the man, the patriarch of the family is this dopey, dumbass kind of guy, right? He doesn't trust his own instincts. He doesn't lead. The wife leads the household. And if you notice, the smartest person in the room is the daughter.
Are you talking about The Simpsons right now?
I'm talking about The Simpsons, Family Guy. Literally any, like even the sitcoms that you see, I don't even remember. Full House is a good one. You always had the daughter, Stephanie, coming up with all of these solutions. The guys, the caretakers, right? They all play these dopey men that like didn't really know what was going on, but don't worry because Stephanie has an idea of how to do something. So just growing up and seeing how women and like female superheroes, right? Just like the way they create these characters and, it's the strong female lead, and it's just in everything that we see.
Yeah, there's a new thing that's been coming out that I started to notice on my own, and then recently I've seen people writing about it, which is this thing that will happen in like various Netflix shows, and it happened in The Queen's Gambit. It's probably like the best example I could think of, that there's just like a black woman who comes into her life at a certain point, and she is perfect in every way, the most redeemable character that you could possibly think of, not conflicted in any way. She enters into the storyline, does some really good stuff that I can't even remember, a bunch of positive stuff, and then she disappears. She's like the most uninteresting but clearly redeemable character in the show. And that's like this weird woke instinct, is to like just insert perfect black characters into these series. And I actually read a quote from like an anonymous movie like screenplay writer or whatever, where it's basically they said it's an unsaid rule in Hollywood that you can never have like a true black villain in a movie. It's just like really looked down upon.
That's absolutely correct. You see it. It's like these type, like they put these stereotypes on people. So it's like the strong female lead. It's the, like you said, it's this black savior almost in a sense, you know.
Which is it's my issue with that is not that it makes black people look too good. It's that it oversimplifies the existence of black people. Why shouldn't black people be able to be complicated on screen just like anybody else?
Yeah. The whole thing is stupid. And the thing is that we buy into it as the consumer. We're still watching these shows.
But that formula you just said that accurately describes The Simpsons and Family Guy and Married with Children, I never even thought about that my whole life. And when I think about the early 90s when The Simpsons was written, I don't think about feminism having like a big impact on our culture. Clearly the world was a lot more misogynistic at that time. But I mean, that is kind of eerily true. Although I also wonder if it's kind of because the male character is usually the lead. It's usually the strongest character who's making the most jokes. And if he's virtuous, it's kind of like not funny. Like all the things we're laughing at Homer Simpson for or Al Bundy or whatever is basically like, oh, he's such a piece of shit. It's amazing.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it's kind of like nothing funny about somebody being like really a good person.
That is true. That is true. But it's just the trend, or it's something that, it's the pattern that I've noticed and other people have noticed as well, is that, you know, it's just baked in so early, and even just how they've changed.
Yo, we just hit 400,000 subscribers right here on the Clips channel. So if you want to help us out, click subscribe, get us to 500K. Yeah.